Hey everybody, welcome back to the NerdNest podcast. I'm your host, Bill Fairchild, and I am joined today by my very good friend, Baldly Rudy. Rudy, how you doing, man? It's been a long time since we got to sit down and chat about video games.
Dude, I'm good. It's been a crazy summer. I definitely took some R&R. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I definitely took some time off of it, and I've just been kind of like doing work more than anything else, like my day job stuff. But it's good to be back. And my goodness, it has been. I feel like leading up to like the holiday season, there's been like a ton of stuff that's been going on, man. We got a lot to talk about.
We do. And this has been a really good year for video games, I think. It's not a great year for the video game industry, especially if you work in the video game industry, but for the people who play games, we've been eating good, I think. We've been having some really, really good games to come out. And we got a ton of stuff to talk about. And I wanted to start off with this. If you've been watching my show for a while, then you're probably aware of my stance when it comes to things like DRM and, that kind of thing. It always kind of ticks me off. And one of the DRM issues that I have is de novo generally will reduce how well a game runs. Well, I saw this the other day and I was like, okay, hold on. This is kind of interesting or kind of crazy. This is posted over at WCCF Tech. It says Marvel Tokon's pirated build. So, the one where people are stealing it, the people who are not paying for it, hits flawless 60 frames per second as de novo style DRM / anti-cheat reportedly cripples the paid Steam version. So if you bought the Steam version and you're playing it on your computer, well, you could be getting a better experience if you were a thief and decided to steal it instead of actually give the company money. And this is the kind of thing that makes people want to pirate games. I'm not interested in piracy. I'm not interested in jumping through the hoops of figuring out where do I download this from? How do I crack it so that I can play the game? And then, okay, now I'm playing the game. Oh no, there's something that came up and now it's breaking something for me. Like all that stuff is not interesting to me. But when the paying customer gets a worse experience than the people who are stealing it, that always bothers the hell out of me. And that's what's happening here because as soon as, that's the wrong button, as soon as the cracked version came out, sure enough, people were running into the cracked version, which is DRM free, has much better performance than the official retail release. And this is, again, from the article that I was talking about. And this is just one of those things where I'm going to encourage people not to pirate games. Like, you should only do this if you actually paid for it. But I am going to say, if you are somebody who bought the game on PC and it's not running well for you because of de novo, then find a download to crack it so that you can get the game that you deserve, to get the game that you actually paid for. Because it's ridiculous that Sony and Arc System Works decided to pay de novo, because that's what they do. They have to pay de novo in order to protect their game. Well, how long did it protect it for? Like, I don't know. It's been out for less than a month and the game's already cracked and everybody's getting a better experience with the cracked version. What do you think about this, man?
Dude, I've got so many thoughts because first and foremost, I want to say this right from the beginning. I actually like the devs that made this game. Arc System Works,
Yeah.
they actually make really good fighting games. I love Dragon Ball FighterZ. I love Guilty Gear Strive. Absolutely phenomenal games. And the games that have been coming out more and more and more from them are, kind of low barrier to entry, high ceiling in terms of skill. So this was a game that was going to be coming out, and I was genuinely excited to actually play it. And when I started hearing about the issues with PC, even with the rollback netcode, I immediately said, hold on, I'm actually going to wait for this to come out before I actually pull the trigger and invest my money into this, because this, dude, it's Marvel. It's got that Japanese aesthetic. Like overall, it looks like the total package for a guy like me. And I was just very disappointed by it. Historically, as far as I know, de novo is one of those things that are initially, there as part of the game during the launch window, and then after 6, 7, 8 months, they'll go ahead and they'll take it down. But even now, like there's no word, there's no saying that we're actually going to get that this time around. So I don't know. I personally, I'm gonna wait for it and see what happens. But at that point, I'm gonna be like the boat is gonna be gone, and you're gonna have people that have been pretty much dedicating their entire lives to playing this game and getting a skill level that is unattainable by somebody that comes in as a noob later on in the game. So it sucks. I don't think, especially on the PC side of things, I don't think that developers realize that if you actually make a good product at a fair price and you just release it, you don't need anti-cheat stuff. You will actually have less people pirating the game. People will actually buy this. The moment that they said that they weren't going to go ahead, that they were going to have de novo, I said, you know what? No, I'm not going to put my money towards this. I'm just going to focus my time elsewhere. And that sucks. I don't know if there are any other titles that have that same experience for you, but Bill, like, has there been anything else that de novo came in that you were excited for? That kind of came in and you were like, you know what? I don't want to get this now.
The answer to that question is absolutely yes, but I cannot put my finger on exactly which game it was.
Mm-hmm.
There was a game where they announced it. They put up it might have been this one. I can't remember now. But they put up pre-orders. And then after the pre-orders happened, then they ended up putting in de novo not anti-cheat, de novo DRM. And I was like, DRM, yeah. That's such a rug pull way to do business. Like, you get the people excited to play your game, and then out of nowhere, they just say, okay, by the way, now I'm going to alter the deal. Pray I don't alter it further. Like, that's the kind of thing that they basically did there. I can't remember if that's what happened with Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls or not. But it's really, really kind of a scummy move not to have that information up front so that your customers can make an informed decision before they give you their money. Now, of course, you could cancel your pre-order if you wanted to as soon as they did that. But a lot of people are like, well, I already bought it. And so once you've made that decision, like, the chances of somebody canceling, I think that's less likely to happen. Like, I think if you had two paths in front of you, one path where you knew that there's DRM on it ahead of time, and one where you buy it and they add the DRM later, I feel like you're more likely to buy it and then they add the DRM later and then you just keep it anyway. But on the other path, if you know that there's the de novo DRM ahead of time, you're likely to just say, oh, I'm just going to pass on it. And I think that that's a calculated thing that this publisher, PlayStation, decided to do. And I don't know, maybe not, but that's just how I feel about it. But it's so freaking lame. And I'm glad that it's cracked, and I'm glad that people are getting much better experiences on the cracked version. It just sucks that they have to.
Yeah, that's the main thing. It sucks that they have to do that. I don't know, man. I'm obviously one for like the people, of course, but it shouldn't be that way. That's my thing. It really shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, I agree. And if you look at the here, I'll bring this up on screen for the people watching over at youtube.com/nerdnest. If you look right now, it's got mixed reviews, but if you look at like Metacritic or something, it's got great reviews. Like, people are really, really loving this game, but on Steam, people are pissed because of the issues with it. So like this is the very first review that came up when and I had this on screen earlier, but I don't think that it was like, I didn't stop to talk about it. It says, just wait until your favorite fighting game streamer talks about how the cracked version of this game runs better than the official ones. They posted this on August 18th, so that was a couple of days ago. If you the next one down includes DRM. Oh, maybe it's Thea DRM, not de novo. So I'm sorry if I misspoke there. But it says includes Thea DRM, but doesn't mention it on the store page. The DRM is known to affect performance and does the exact same thing here. Player base is dwindling, and PS5 players are turning off crossplay. That makes sense, right? Because PS5 players are turning off crossplay. That means that it's going to be even harder for you to get to find a match. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that sucks. Anyway,
Dude,
they
it
go
sucks big time.
What were you saying? Oh, it sucks big time.
No, I agree with you. It sucks big time. That's all I'm saying.
It does. Anyway, it sucks. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comment section down below that like button, and we're going to move on to our next story for today. This is probably one of the coolest things. I mean, look, do I need one of these? Absolutely not. Do I want one of these? Probably not, but it's incredibly cool. Some modder decided to take their Steam Deck. There's too many pieces of hardware now that have Steam in the name, and so my brain like comes to a complete stop every time I say Steam. But they took their Steam Deck, and what they decided to do is they decided to turn it into a Game Boy. So instead of being like a wide device, they decided to make it a tall device shaped like a Game Boy. They took all the parts, all the internals of the Steam Deck, and squeezed it into a Game Boy style or sized device that has one stick on the left and one touchpad on the right. This is incredibly cool. I probably would never use it. One thing that you know, if you're watching this over on the YouTube channel, you probably noticed that he has to have it hooked up to a screen because he can't get the internal screen to work. Like he's still working out the kinks with that, basically. But this thing is just so cool. What do you think about that, man? Have you seen this before?
Dude, yeah, man. I saw this like a couple of days ago, and it's like it's such a cool little project. And like to take something that is that like the Steam Deck, it by itself is a chunky boy. To get that into a vertical form factor like that, I think he said that the footprint is similar to the DMG Game Boy, the original one, which to me is so impressive. It's just that's like pure dedication. Now, obviously, I would love to be able to see the screen actually working to have like a truly mobile experience, but this is awesome. I love the fact that like something like this could even be done, and it kind of makes you wonder what else you can do in terms of like, I mean, we've seen a bunch of like retro handheld emulators, and there's like obviously with FEX and everything, there's like a huge scene with like ARM and the future of like Android and what you could do with Steam and whatnot. But still, having something with like official Valve hardware in a form factor like this is cool, man. Like I have my 3D printer is like right over here. I can almost feel like firing it up, chopping up a freaking Steam Deck and like getting that running because that's so awesome. That is awesome, man. Would you do something like this?
Skills? Well, so okay, let me answer your question. No, I would not do that, and here's the reason: I do not have the skills. I don't have a 3D printer, but even if I did, like, I went through and I tore apart my Steam Deck and I rebuilt it inside a case from JSOX. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I did that on a live, like it was a 7-hour stream. I would say at least an hour and a half of that was me just dealing with the glue that held the screen in place, which is a friggin' absolute nightmare. But just the idea of trying to take this apart and then like he had to do like path traces and all kinds of stuff in order to get it. Like he had to do real modding, not like my little pansy ass modding where all I did was take screws out and then put screws back in. Like this is impressive stuff. What I did was dumb. No way in hell I would ever try and attempt this. That said, when the Steam Deck first came out, I said, no way in hell I'm ever going to open this up. And then I eventually did it, But so we asked each other the same question at the same time. Would you do this? Would you open up your Steam Deck, yank out all the parts, do what this guy did to get it down to a Game Boy style size?
So, and that's the thing. So I have a lot of Steam Decks. And not by, by choice. Sometimes, a Steam Deck comes out and I'm just like, oh, like this would be nice to like just have. My son has one, my wife has one. So like I have like a couple of them just like laying around, just gathering dust. This would be like a really cool project. But for me, do I have the skills right now? No. This would be a let's figure it out as we build it. We're going to build the car as we're driving it sort of situation. So to answer your question, no, I don't have the skills at all, man. I lack the skills entirely, but it'd be a good time,
I don't think it would be a good time. Like, I think I would be like frustrated and like angry at myself for deciding to take on this task that I don't know what I'm doing, and like sending panicked text messages to people who are smarter than me, like Carrie
Instead
or
of Carrie.
Yeah. I would message Carrie in a heartbeat, like, dude, what the hell am I supposed to do? But then he would say whatever he would say, and I would have to friggin' get a translator to understand, because like he talks in a very technological jargon, and like oftentimes on the show, he will say things in a very tech savvy way, and then I will basically repeat what he said to the audience in a less tech savvy way, because my audience is not nearly as like, I know that there's definitely some overlap in the Venn diagram between my channel and Carrie's channel, but my channel's audience is far less tech savvy than Carrie's audience. I think Carrie's audience is all super tech savvy because he doesn't translate anything into layman's terms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I get that.
But it's cool as hell, and I'm very impressed that somebody was able to do that. And I also think the form factor is awesome because, like, I have an original DMG Game Boy like over there on the shelf, and when you hold it in your hand,
right there,
it's very comfortable. Like, it's incredibly comfortable. All right, let's move on and talk about our next topic, which is, this is not good news. I mean, maybe it's good news if you hate PlayStation, but and there's a lot of people who watch my channel that probably do. But PlayStation 6 is rumored to have a handheld version, and this handheld version, we've seen a lot of information leak about this handheld version, and people are trying to figure out exactly how much this thing is going to cost. Well, I saw this story over at WCCF Tech, and as I scroll down, it says here, the PlayStation 6 handheld can't hit $600, an AMD leaker warns, as AI data center demand devours LPDDR memory. And if you scroll down into the article, it says, this is what was actually posted over at NeoGAF. It says $600 is definitely not possible right now. LPDDR memory is actually seeing the biggest price increases since it's being used in a lot of data center products. RAM prices fluctuate a lot right now, and I don't know how good of a contract Sony managed to get, so it's hard to say, but they are most likely selling at or near cost. And this is coming from Kepler L2. And then the last line in here is about Alina Analytics believes it would risk they're talking about the price of how much these things are going to cost. And if they are up to $1,000, basically Alina Analytics is saying 4 in 10 buyers would just say, nope, I'm not going to bother, and I'm going to stick with my PS5 or my Xbox Series, and I'm not going to move on to the next thing. What do you think would be a good price for a PlayStation 6 handheld? Like, what would you be willing to pay, knowing that AI data centers are chewing up all of the RAM that is out there? I know that Sony said, hey, we bought enough to take us through the end of 2027. But at the end of 2027 is when their PS6 is supposed to come. And so they're going to be buying new RAM chips just like everybody else is, and everybody else is having a hard time right now. Knowing that, what would you be willing to pay for a PlayStation 6 handheld?
Okay, and this is assuming that the PlayStation 6 handheld is a companion to a PlayStation 6 console, home console, correct?
Well, when you say companion, what do you mean?
So, like, one of the things that a lot of people, at least for me personally, when I started, with the Steam Deck and getting into like the PC handheld space, one of the things that I loved is being able to play here next to my rig and have like the beautiful graphics on screen. And then, I have to travel for work. I'm going to take my Steam Deck or whatever, one of my PC handhelds with me and be able to play on the go, yet still have that same save file with me so that I can go ahead and play and run things natively on the console itself or the handheld itself, excuse me. Um, with the PlayStation 6 potentially being a handheld, or if there is a handheld unit, then that opens the door as hey, am I getting a handheld, am I getting a home console, is this a switch situation where it runs on the handheld and then I can plug it into like a dock and either it upscales using PSSR or PSSR2 or PSSR3, whatever the heck it is going to be at the time. How is this going to play out? Now for me personally, if we're just looking at a handheld, even with me knowing everything that's like going on, I take whatever it is that they say with a grain of salt, because Sony and Xbox have been known to subsidize their handhelds, unlike Valve, who has said, hey, we're going to sell this as close to as cost as possible with a little tiny room for profit, which is why we got those weird numbers with the Steam machine. It wasn't a flat rate. It was with a $50 increase or $50 number at the end. So yeah, I take all this with like a grain of salt. I think Sony, I've been saying this since I had like my old channel. Sony is smug Sony. We are seeing the same Sony that we saw during the PlayStation 3 era. They know that they have a larger piece of the pie. They fully, completely understand that they have a larger piece of the pie in comparison to Xbox, and Nintendo is Nintendo. They walk and they're just playing to the beat of their own drum. They don't care. But with that being said, their arrogance and their greed has been showing continuously since the PlayStation 4 generation. A lot of the decisions that were made after the PlayStation 3 generation into the PS4 was like, okay, how can we go ahead and minimize the amount of projects that we have going on in order to increase headway and increase profit, which is what we saw with like the closing of several studios, including recently Blue Point Games. Before that, Japan Studio, which was one of my favorites. A ton of like different studios, all to get the weird wacky games out of the way, like Parappa the Rapper, to God of War, whatever the heck the next one is. And like, how many exclusive titles are there on the PlayStation 5 at this point? At this point,
Right.
this late into the generation, I think there's only like maybe 4 or 5 titles that actually truly require a PlayStation 5, that cannot be played on PC, that cannot be played on PlayStation 4. It has to be a PlayStation 5. That is absolutely abysmal. My goodness. It's like, if exclusives are the game that they want to go ahead and play, how come there are so few? And at that point, why even bring titles to the PC landscape in the first place, I didn't buy a PlayStation 5 Pro, didn't see the need for it, because I saw that there was a fully digital version. And I don't really want to get into the whole conversation of, physical media that is dying. I am a person that likes to have options. I've been saying that on my channel for years. If you are a consumer and you are given options, when one option is taken away, whether you support it or not, you are being forced. People are being forced in one way over the other against their will. People will go ahead and in the comments, I can already feel it. I can see it. I fully expect people to be like, well, the 80% blah, 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 they only went fully digital. That is something that has already been proven wrong, because it takes into
those
account
numbers are
games that are
cherry-picked.
fully 100. Yes. So when I look at that stuff and I look at everything that's happening, I look at this thing that's coming out that's going to be $600, or that they can't hit $600, excuse me. And I look at that and I'm like, yes, they can. They choose not to. They want to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gist of it. They want more money. And if they can make more money and squeeze more money out of the consumer, since there's less games that are out on the market from them, they have to make some of that money back through hardware and subscriptions, then they're going to go ahead and charge an arm and a leg for the next piece of tech that is out there. And I do agree that 4 out of 5 buyers will look at something that is over $1,000 and say, yeah, no, I don't want this. Like my 10-year-old son looks at this stuff and he's like, I guess the PlayStation 5 really is the last PlayStation that we're going to have in the household. And like, dude, he's a kid, you know, like, come on. Oh man, it's ridiculous. Sorry, I didn't mean to get into like a huge tangent about this, but this is something that has been on my mind.
You watched the show before. This is this show is all tangents all the time. The fact that we got one good one in this one with so few people, that's like, check the box. We nailed it. But you never answered my question, which was, how much do you think that you would be willing to pay for a PS6 handheld? You asked if it's a companion device. I'm going to assume that you can buy one or the other or both, and they will work interoperably. Like you can play the same games on both devices, and it'll just play better on your home system than it would on the handheld. So if that is all true, how much would you pay for one of these things?
Probably like $700. Knowing everything that's like happening in like the space, I would pay like $700. If 600 isn't attainable, 700 should be attainable. And even still, like a handheld from a console that is in a closed system,
right?
That should not be more than $500.
Right, it's a closed system because you can't install stuff from other stores. You're stuck on the PlayStation Store, and even if you brought up the discs, even if Sony were sticking with discs, which they're not, but even if they did stick with discs, this wouldn't have discs, and because this wouldn't have discs, that means that like you would be stuck on the PlayStation Store no matter what. So buying a portable PlayStation, you are locked in, you're trapped, and there's very little that you can do about it except for maybe hack it a few years down the line. Was $700 you said? Yeah. I mean, that's about Steam Deck price. What's the most expensive Steam Deck right now? Do you remember off the top of your head?
I want to say like 1,050, but
no, that's the cheapest Steam machine. The most expensive Steam Deck is, here we are, $949.
Yeah.
Wait, when did that happen?
When they got rid of the Steam Deck increase?
Well, I must have missed this. I thought that,
dude, that was literally right before the Steam machine launched.
I guess maybe I just forgot, or maybe when I look at this price, $949, I think that my brain forgot and thought that the most expensive one was $789, like I was trapped in the old days. Because the old most expensive one was $750, right? Or $650 for the most expensive version.
Yeah, it was $649. Yeah.
Okay, and then I thought maybe it was $700 and something, but that was the middle one. I can't believe it's almost $1,000 for a Steam Deck.
Which is why when that new price came out, it was like, dude, just pay $50 more and get yourself an ASUS ROG Xbox Ally X, install SteamOS, and you're set.
Yes, and I agree with that. The Steam Deck used to be the default suggestion. Like if somebody said, hey, I want to have a portable device that I'm going to play games on, my go-to recommendation to that person would be, get a Steam Deck. It's the best deal. But then it stopped being the best deal. And I think that you're much better off getting other than the Steam Deck if you're just looking at how much you're going to spend for the performance that you're going to get. If, however, you're like, well, I want the trackpads and I like the form factor and I like this about the Steam Deck and that about the Steam Deck, then a Steam Deck's the way to go. But if Valve is hitting $950, then PlayStation better hit less than that, because as you said, maybe they subsidize it. And the thing is like, I feel like when I'm thinking about this, the thing that I'm thinking about is what's the main device? You know, when the PlayStation 6 comes out and the PlayStation 6 handheld comes out, and you can buy either or both, what is the one that is going to be the most popular option, do you think?
That's definitely something, like, because like I've always seen it as you are going to sit there and you're going to play in the living room when it comes to PlayStation. But I recently like jailbroke my or hacked, whatever you want to call it, my PlayStation Vita, the PS Vita 1000. My God, I forgot how amazing it was to have a handheld that is that size and play games of that quality on the go. And the battery life is fantastic. Now, I personally like looking at the article at the top. They have a PlayStation Portal as like the default. If that's what's going to come, it's going to be something that like I'm going to play like on the couch every once in a while when I'm sharing the screen, or if I am playing like in bed. Clunky stuff like that is something that I rarely ever take out in public. I do take the Xbox Ally X as like my go-to, but that's when I'm in a long haul, like if I'm on a flight, or if I have like a long train for like an event or something that I'm going to from like a hotel or something. But I don't know, man. Like I would say if Nintendo has anything to say anything about anything, they have sold millions, tens of millions of units, and Sony could technically do the same thing if they actually put in marketing and they put in engineering and thought into what it is that they're doing, which is counterintuitive to what they have been doing. They haven't been putting a lot of thought towards anything that's consumer friendly. So I'm hesitant, man. I would say that like their main thing would probably be the home console, regardless in the living room space if they're going to have a large one, and this will be an afterthought. And go the way of the PS Vita. I just can't wait to like hack it and mod it and get things going the way that it should.
I worry that it would be an afterthought like the Xbox Series S, where devs are complaining that they have to try and get their games to run on that thing. Like I saw an article, I don't know if it's actually in the show notes or not. I can't remember if I actually got it in the show notes, but there was an article where a guy was complaining. Yeah, here we go. This comes from respawnfirst.com. And basically, there's a dev who, I can't remember who it is. I'm trying to find the name of the company. They make No Rest for the Wicked, okay? And here's their quote. They said, "I just love comments like, how dare your game isn't running at 60 frames per second on Xbox Series S yet when GTA 6 will run." And they say, well, gee, I don't know. Maybe it's because Rockstar literally just spent over $1 billion and had thousands of people working on it for over a decade now. And it's glorious how it's always the people that have absolutely no technical understanding that are always the loudest, pure fanboyism. But sure, the 6-year-old machine that costs $300 at launch and literally has half the RAM that even a Steam Deck has ought to run all the newest games at perfect performance. It makes sense. It's not like other devs haven't been struggling with this thing for a long time now. It's incredibly difficult to support these potato machines, and none of your fanboyism will make that statement any less true. Okay, so when I read that, my first reaction was, okay, dude, relax. If you don't like it, don't put your game out on the Xbox. Like the idea that too many games try and push graphics as hard as they possibly can when what they should be focusing on instead is gameplay, especially these days when there's so many people that just cannot afford to have machines that are not potato machines. So like that's my first reaction when I hear this. But then when we're talking about the idea of the PlayStation 6 portable, Well, it's going to be the same issue where there's the Series X, which is the PlayStation 6, and then there's the Series S, which is the PlayStation 6 portable. And that means that that's going to be the potato machine. And if that's the potato machine, then people are going to have, or devs are going to have trouble optimizing their games for that system. And that means that if you buy that system, you are, what's the word I'm looking for? You're taking a huge risk on whether or not you are going to have a good experience because, sorry, I'm just turning my air conditioner down. Because you might end up with a game that just won't run on that system, on the portable system, because it doesn't have the juice. You know what I mean?
Dude, I 100% get where you're coming from, and that's something that I will say that there are certain benefits. Like, what's the saying that
A rising
creative or
tide.
constraints?
Oh,
No, constraints breed creativity. Is that
yeah.
the
I mean,
saying?
like, you look at old games, and the reason that they are the way they are is because the developers' hands were tied.
Yeah. I always think of like Pokemon Gen 2 and like how they were trying to get both regions into one cartridge, the same cartridge that was there for the first game in Gen 1, and how large that was. And like me, I think I was like, I don't know, like maybe 10, 11 years old. My mind was freaking blown when I went back to Gen 1 region. I was like, what? This is insane. Like, I thought Hoenn was like kind of like the huge thing, and here we are back. So but yeah, no, I think that, I don't know if you remember, Baldur's Gate 3, huge game,
Love it.
and it came out on Xbox. And it was because of the Xbox Series S that one of the developers was able to find a way to fix the VRAM usage and optimization that was happening on the Xbox Series S. And that translated to the rest of the versions that are out there, because it's like, oh, wow, there's a better way to manage memory. We're going to go ahead and utilize it now. And boom, that helped PC, that helped Steam Deck, that helped obviously PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Xbox Series S. So it's just like, dude, there are certain benefits when you are, taking that into account. Now, Moon Studios, the people behind No Rest for the Wicked, they were in charge of Ori and Ori 1 and 2. I think Ori and the Blind Forest and the Will of the Wisps, if I remember correctly. Both great Metroidvania platformers, phenomenal. But the big thing for me when No Rest for the Wicked came out, it was still in the green light or like early access. It was not good. In like, it could barely perform at all, and you needed beefy PC in order to do it. Like on handheld, you'd be lucky if you hit 30 FPS at 720. So him saying stuff like this, like, I get it, I understand where he's coming from, but also, you kind of have to take into account the amount of resources that you have from a consumer standpoint. Like you said, Bill, not everyone can afford the latest and greatest tech, and some people can't even afford an Xbox Series S, especially in today's economy. So it's like, you kind of have to have a little bit more grace when it comes to things like that. You can't assume that everyone is walking around with a 5090 in their pocket, and if they are, like, tell me where they're at, because like I would love to have one too. It's just, dude, I don't know. It seems very arrogant. Am I safe to say that this seems like it's arrogant?
Well, I don't know if arrogance is the right word. It seems like the what he's saying is he's thinking about it from his perspective. His job is to try and get this game to run on fairly weak hardware. You know what I mean? And that's causing him a lot of strife and problems because they had a certain vision for their game, and they're unable to get that vision to play on, as he calls it, potato hardware. And so I understand the plight that he's running into. But in my opinion, this is a symptom that not just his company, way too many companies focus way too much on getting the shiniest, most gorgeous graphics out of the gate, and they don't focus on the gameplay. Now, maybe this game has fantastic gameplay. Maybe this game is incredibly fun. I have not played it. But if people can't run it because they're on potato machines, then they're not going to buy it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like too many devs and publishers forget that the vast majority of people out there don't have dual 5090s in their rigs. And they, they're sitting down to play on an Xbox Series S, and the game's running like shit for them, and they're getting frustrated. They're not going to be mad at their Xbox Series S. They're going to be mad at the game that they just spent X dollars on, and they're going to be like, well, they didn't optimize it enough. And you know what? They didn't optimize it enough. They didn't. And if you want a good example of games of a company that can optimize the shit out of a game, Nintendo. Nintendo's games run, if you look at the Switch 1, like that, they are gorgeous looking games. And you might disagree with me. I think that their graphics on most Nintendo games look fantastic. They're stylized in order to allow them to optimize the game to run, but they're not ultra realistic. Now, if you want ultra realistic, sure, you can aim for that, but it's going to make it harder for you to accomplish the task that you're set out to do. So I think that too many devs focus too much on graphics and not enough on optimization. And I think that at the end of the day really hurts them.
Have you ever watched the series Ugly Delicious on Netflix?
No.
So it's a show, follows a chef. He travels the world, and he finds hole-in-the-wall places that have delicious food. They just look ugly. They like, it's literally ugly delicious. And there are some games that are out there that may not be the best looking in the world, but man, do they play well. You mentioned Nintendo. The first thing that comes to mind is Monolith Soft. I don't know if you are you familiar with Monolith and like the games that they come out with, like Xenoblade Chronicles.
Wait, say that again?
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Xenoblade. Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 were unbelievably
and 3,
good.
And like, dude,
I never played 3.
The scale, the scope of what is in those games is absolutely fantastic. And like, again, to run on a quote unquote potato of the Switch 1 unit and Switch 3, because and Part 3 ran on there as well, is absolutely wild.
Right. The Switch
so I always think
6TDP.
of that stuff. Dude, it's nuts. It's nuts. So like, I think of that stuff and I'm just like, how can they like make that work? It's freaking dev magic.
It is.
But I think I do agree with you that like a lot of developers are chasing the pores, chasing the eyelashes and all this and that. And I'm just like, dude, like one of my favorite games that I played a few years ago was Hi-Fi Rush. I don't know if you played Hi-Fi Rush.
That's the rhythm one, right? Am I remembering right?
Yeah.
Yes, I did play that. That was really good.
Dude, it was such a like good PS2, like Xbox 360 era vibe game. And it was just fun. Those are like the type of games that I want to go ahead and play. Games that are fun. Hyper-realism.
At no point when I was sitting there playing that did I think that this doesn't look good, though. Never.
Exactly. So I don't know, man. I always look at that stuff and like hyper-realistic games, the moment that they're released out into the public, it's like, okay, in like a year or two, it's going to look like crap. That's why we have so many remasters of The Last of Us, because, they improve, one hair, and all of a sudden we can charge $80 for it.
Well, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think that the PS6 handheld is going to hold the PS6 back in the same way that some devs feel that the Xbox Series S held back the Xbox Series X? Let me know in the comment section down below. We're going to move on to our next topic, which is related to PlayStation, but also not even video game related, because it's about a movie, the God of War, or not movie, TV show, the God of War TV show, which already had like, I think 5 episodes finished, like they were done. with 5 episodes of this show. And Ryan Hurst, who was playing the star of the show, tore his bicep, which I've never torn a bicep, but apparently it means that you are out of, you can't do your stuff for a very long time. And he's not going to be back into the shape that he was before the injury for, I think, like up to a year, which is quite a long time. Now, some people would say, let's just delay. Let's not do anything. We'll just shut down filming and we'll come back when he's better. Well, there's a couple of problems with that. Number one, you've got all these sets that you've probably built, and there's other sets that need to be built that are going to use that space. So then if you delay, then you have to allow those sets to be torn down and then rebuild them up, and that adds the cost to the show. But then the second bigger issue is that this show also has a kid in it, and kids age quickly. Like when you see a kid from 1 year and then you come back after a year and you see that kid, they have had massive changes to how they look. And having that happen between episode 5 and 6 of a show might screw up the story. So Ryan Hurst has basically, he is now out. He was he was playing Kratos, and they have replaced him with, I love how Push Square says ex-wrestler. He's an actor. He's a good actor, too. Dave Bautista. He now is taking over for Kratos in the God of War TV show. I will say, I have no experience watching Ryan Hurst in anything. I did see the picture that Ryan Hurst shared where he looked like, damn, that was Kratos when I saw the picture. But I have no doubt that Dave Bautista can do the same thing. Like the dude's always been jacked. But I have 2 questions for you, Rudy. Number one, do you think that they made the right move with going with Dave Bautista? And number 2, are you excited for this show? What do you think?
So first and foremost, I think that they did do the right move with Dave Bautista. Also, have you ever seen somebody tear their bicep?
No.
Dude, it is like horrendous. It is like, I don't want to show it on screen, but it's literally like, imagine like your muscle that is like right here. You have like a little like curve, and
I don't have one of those curves.
No. But this part that's right here, literally like it snaps.
Ooh.
The whole thing snaps off the tendon, dude. It is horrendous. I wish that upon no one. It is absolutely horrendous. It is. I saw it one time, like on my feed. Don't recommend it. 0 out of 5 stars. Don't do it. So I hope for a speedy recovery for him, because Jesus. But yeah, Dave Bautista, like, dude, I've enjoyed everything that I've seen that he has been in. The only thing is I think that he's got to beef up a little bit based off of what I have seen online to get to that level of Kratos. Because I think of like Kratos and I think of like somebody that's like huge, muscular, and like has like, you know, that presence to him that is fierce. And like Dave Bautista can do that. You know, he's had that in the past, and I don't know why he has lost so much weight.
Well, he said, but like the reason that he lost so much weight was because he said doing that is terrible for you. Like
really?
getting that big is like just it's really hard on your body. And he was like, if I don't have to do that, I'm not going to do that. And that's why he slimmed down so much, was because he didn't want to maintain that. It was too much damage on his body to do that. I think if he's signing this contract to do this with Sony, then whoever's making the show, then I'm sure he's going to beef back up, and I'm sure that he'll have no problem doing it. We've look at who played Batman in
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. If you look at Christian Bale, like his weight fluctuations are all over the place. Like he'll play the vice president, he'll be like a big kind of chunky guy like me, and then he'll play in The Machinist where he weighs less than 100 pounds or whatever, and then Batman. He's after that he plays Batman and he's up to all swole and big again. Like some people are just
Yeah.
really good at doing that stuff. I'm
Yeah.
sure that Dave Bautista can do that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's I'm sure that he could like put on the weight again. It's just to put that weight back on and be film ready is like another thing to take into account because you mentioned like, delays and things like that. And like that isn't an overnight thing. I don't know how fast he would be able to actually get back into like a bulkier shape. But yeah, I think that they did a good job with like casting him. Am I personally excited for it? I think so. And I say the reason why I'm kind of like cautious is because I don't know if you've heard, but a lot of the writers from the God of War games are not going to be a part of this. So you have people that have been a part of God of War and as a franchise since the beginning that know the characters that are here in and out, and they are not going to be a part of this, which to me is somewhat of a red flag. It scares me because it's not going to be like The Last of Us show with HBO because I feel like you had Neil Druckmann being a part of like the team that was there and like saying, hey, this is what Joel would do in this scenario and kind of like guiding the cast there. Here, I don't know, man. I genuinely don't know. I mean, are you excited for this?
I am excited for this. And the thing is it's an adaptation. Every single time that you take one piece of content and you translate it to like the same kind of story, but you translate it to another medium, you have to adapt it. And like Tolkien wasn't there to help Peter Jackson make the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And the Lord of the Rings trilogy is like one of the greatest cinematic masterpieces of all time, in my opinion. Maybe you disagree, but that's okay.
No, not at
But
all. Are you kidding me?
nobody
What?
was
No,
there
no.
to help. No, I wasn't saying you. I was talking to the audience at that point.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. All right. And if they do disagree with you, they're wrong.
But it's okay. No, because it's subjective and everybody's, they can have their own opinion on it. But when you look at no matter what, you're taking a game. How long does it take to finish God of War, the first one with Atreus?
2018.
Yeah.
I think it was 30 hours more or less.
30 hours.
Wrong,
okay. Well, you're not going to get 30 hours. So you're going to have to adapt. Like there's going to be things that you have to cut in order to squeeze it down into, I don't know how many episodes they're going to do in a season, but like 8 episodes in a season or something like that. Like they have to adapt. And would it be easier if the people who wrote the original games were there? Maybe, but you also have access to all of the writing that they did, so you could just look it up. You don't need to have those people there. And if you don't need them, then hiring a bunch of people that you don't actually need, that doesn't really bother me either. It bothers me more when they hire people that they don't need and then have to fire them later. You know what I mean? And then the other thing that I'll say, and I know that this is an unpopular opinion, it doesn't matter if it follows the lore of the game exactly. It doesn't matter. It's okay. The game is the game. The show is the show. It's okay if they're different. They're not changing anything about the game. They're just telling a different story with these characters. And as long as it's a good story and it's entertaining, then I'm all for it. I don't care if it differs slightly from the game. And I'm sure that it will.
I agree with you in the sense that if it's there and it's fun to watch, for those that watch anime and have played Devil May Cry, like that's one of the big things that are there. You have a lot of things that are happening with the Devil May Cry anime on Netflix that do not make sense with what we know of in the games. And I forgot the showrunner's name, but he has explicitly said, he's like, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just going to go ahead and make something that's fun to watch. And even then, it's still a little bit cringe. When it comes to this, I do agree that there should be, if a new group comes in, this is why I'm cautious. If a new group comes in that has no ties to the original lore that's there, like we have new show writers, like everything, then that's fine. But it would be wise to at least experience the story that was already there in the first place to understand what is there to work with. If they go ahead and they, create a story that has absolutely like that's completely different. It's like a part 4.5 in a 5-part act, in terms of like all the games that are there. That's okay. I think that's fine. It's just, if all of a sudden Kratos comes out and he's like, you know what? We're gonna go into like Hindu religion this time around. Like it's like, well, okay, what's the purpose? What is the point? What is the goal that is there? What is the hero's journey in this situation, assuming that that's going to be the story arc that's there? I just also want to make sure that it makes sense too, for like the motivations that are there. Like I think using J.R.R. Tolkien and Peter Jackson as this example, I don't know this, but as far as the people that have both read the books and also seen the films, they say that the film is so close to that original source that it not only pays respect to it, but it also translates what was said one to one to what is on screen. And I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments. But as far as I know, it is one of those things that are very true to the original source. Do I want that for the show? Not necessarily, but I would like, some respect to, to the characters that have already been established and for them to do things that would make sense for Kratos or Atreus or any of the other characters that are in that world to do them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. There's nothing there that I would say doesn't make sense with what you were just saying. All I care about is have an entertaining show first,
Mm-hmm.
and then have it work with the lore, the previously established lore second. If it's a show that takes the lore super seriously, but it's not entertaining, then don't freaking make it. That's how I feel about it. But that doesn't mean that they can't do both, and maybe they will do both. This episode of the NerdNest podcast is literally brought to you by ASUS. When I first moved into the new NerdNest, my internet would not reach out here. If you've been watching my show for a while, then you probably noticed that I didn't post for a really long time. And that's because I couldn't get internet out into this building. Well, I reached out to my friends at ASUS and I said, hey, what do you guys have that I can use in order to make sure that my entire house and my garage is covered in some sweet Wi-Fi? And they said that they were going to send over a bunch of stuff, including their Zen Wi-Fi BT10, the ROG Strix BE18000, their Zen Wi-Fi BD5 outdoor unit. And ever since they sent this stuff over, it's been nothing but smooth sailing here in the NerdNest. Their Zen Wi-Fi BT10 has Wi-Fi 7 with enhanced stability up to 2.4 times faster than Wi-Fi 6 or 6E. The GSBE 18000 is equipped with cutting-edge Wi-Fi 7 top-tier components and ASUS exclusive networking technology specifically designed for gamers and networking enthusiasts. It has tri-band 18,000 megabits per second, up to 3,300 square feet of coverage. And because all of these just act like different nodes, I'm always connected to the same network. When I leave the house and walk out to the garage, I don't switch over to a new network. It stays as the same network the entire time. And the outdoor unit's going to be incredibly useful when I have cookouts or we're out by the fire pit listening to music. So if you want to make sure that you have the absolute fastest network possible with very little headaches, make sure you check out the link in the description down below. Now, back to the episode. And the next story that I want to talk about is from the Xbox Series X25. If you don't know what this is the green transparent Xbox that they announced a little while ago. Apparently, we now have a price for that. And I don't know, have you seen the price yet, Rudy? Don't look at it if you haven't.
I did.
Oh, okay.
I looked at the show notes. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, that's what they're there for. I was going to ask you
I
what
tried to be
you.
prepared, man.
Yeah, I know. Well, okay. Is the number higher or lower than you expected it to be?
Dude, everything is higher than what I expected it to be. This is the weirdest generation ever. Usually, like PlayStation 4 generation and like the Xbox One, like it was literally okay. A console came out, it was let's say $500. By the end of the generation, it was like 350, $400. This is the first generation where it's like the older a console gets, the more expensive it becomes. So yeah, no, I knew that it was going to be special edition like pricing, but 8.99 for euros and pound or for Europe, and then 8.99 USD in the US is that's a spicy meatball to say the least, man.
It is. And
I'm not buying it. Are you buying it?
no. I mean, I already have a Series X and I never use it. It just sits there and I don't play it because I have a PC. So why would I get this more expensive version just because it looks cooler? I mean, absolutely not. But $100 premium over the other one for a different plastic, that's kind of crazy. But I also don't know that I blame Microsoft, because when you like, I've seen like rumors that they're, even though they raised the prices of the Xboxes, they're still losing money on every single one because the cost of the components have gone up so much. So, you know, it kind of reminds me of earlier in the show when we were talking about PlayStation 6 handheld and how much it's going to cost. When it comes out, if you can afford it, you might want to buy it right then, because it'll be the cheapest it's ever going to be, which is crazy. We've never had this issue in gaming before. Prices always went down, and now they just don't.
Dude,
All
it's
right.
so bad. And like to me, it's crazy because like I look at it and I'm just like the like look at like the original PlayStation 5, the like the first generation of PS5, which is the one that I have. That one had the largest heatsink, the most like it has copper pipes, all like the most expensive stuff. And then later iterations came with cheaper hardware because they were trying to like cut corners to just save money, save cents in every single angle that they could. And yes, technically you could go and you could buy a PlayStation 5 today or a PlayStation 5 Pro and have that to play games, and it will play the same way as the previous, you know, iterations. But it just sucks that like, yeah, it's cheaper materials, it runs the same, but it's more expensive. It's capitalism at its finest, I would say, in this scenario, which sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. You know what else sucks? That is Nintendo takes down 400 Switch emulator repositories in a single day. I found this over at Nintendo Everything. They said Nintendo's fight against emulators continues. We're now hearing that in just one day, the company has taken down over 400 repositories, 7 DMCA anti-circumvention were filed at GitHub. With that, more than 400 emulator repositories were targeted. Copies of the Suyu emulator, the Yuzu Forks, and Skyline were all impacted. More of these code repositories are now offline. Nintendo primarily targeted Suyu, and since reported the network was larger than 100 repositories, GitHub processed the notice against the entire network, which covers 311 repos. The other notices pertain to a lone repository, as well as networks of a few dozen, including independent Skyline emulator. Nintendo argument for going after these repositories is as follows. The repositories offer, link to, or otherwise provide access to Nintendo Switch emulators. Emulation is not illegal. I don't care what Nintendo says, it's not illegal. Pirating games is illegal, but emulation is not. That's not what they said. That's what I'm saying. Back to what they said. Nintendo Switch emulators are primarily designed to play Nintendo Switch games. True. Specifically, these Nintendo Switch emulators illegally circumvent Nintendo's TPMs in order to run illegal copies of Nintendo Switch games. Screw you, Nintendo. Nintendo Switch games are encrypted using a proprietary cryptographic keys, prod.keys, which protect against unauthorized access and copying of copyrighted games. All right. During operation, the emulators are reported repositories necessarily use unauthorized copies of these keys to decrypt unauthorized copies of Nintendo Switch games or ROMs at or immediately before runtime without Nintendo's authorization. Okay, now if that's true, if Nintendo is being completely honest here, and these repositories are giving out the keys, then they were in the wrong and they shouldn't have done that. But Nintendo comes in with the heavy hand, and they hit with their lawyers, and everybody sees how well Nintendo's lawyers tend to do most of the time, not with Pal World, but most of the time they tend to do really well in court. And they're like, okay, well, I'm just going to back off because I can't fight this. It's like a David and Goliath situation, although you know who wins that. But in this case, it's a little scary when Nintendo comes after you. And so you just fold like a cheap suit. And I don't blame anybody for folding when Nintendo comes after them, because it's got to be freaking scary, So first off, putting the keys on your repository is a stupid move. Don't do that shit. But Nintendo, emulation is not illegal, no matter how much they want it to be. And this is the kind of stuff that makes me want to support emulation, is because these are games that are going to go away eventually if we don't have some way to preserve them. And sure, right now, pirates are using the emulators to play these games without paying for them. It's absolutely what's happening. Does that mean that that's how it will always be used? No. It will be used to preserve games that otherwise will be on servers that will eventually get shut down, and that is always terrible, if you ask me. But, I'm not the only person on this show. Rudy, how do you feel about Nintendo shutting down all of these repositories because they don't like emulation?
Well, first and foremost, that was so beautifully said. I'm sitting here and I'm just like loving everything, man. Like, that's fantastic. And I don't want to like repeat everything you said, so I'm just gonna say I agree wholeheartedly with what you did say. But how do I feel about it? I feel like that's the wrong move. I feel like it's a waste of resources. I feel like it is a waste of time. And the reason why I say that is because the toothpaste is out of the it's out. There's no way that you can put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's done. So if anybody can go ahead and take anything that was on, well, now it's obviously off, but I'm sure there are plenty of people that have all of the files that are needed to keep the work running. And there's going to be hundreds of more repositories that are going to come up, plenty of more people that are going to go ahead and start dedicating more time to continuing the work that is here. I don't agree that, you shouldn't have the prod keys to like give out like that, man. That's just asking for trouble. And that is like Nintendo's whole like shtick on this. They know that emulation is legal. They understand that it is legal, but what they want to go ahead and run through is using the TPM and saying, hey, like, this is our encryption and this is how we get things to run on this hardware. And it's part of, yada, yada, yada. Blah, blah. It's just, to me, it's a very cheap maneuver. Let me put it like that. And it is I'm not a lawyer, but to me, it seems like a very gray area to even, go after some of these. But it is a very David and Goliath situation. You have somebody that's coming in, and when you get a DMCA letter, and when you get anything that is tied to a lawsuit, and you are the one that is being sued, it's scary. When you get a cease and desist, it's scary because all of a sudden it's just like, whoa. Like, I'm just a small fry, and now I have to go ahead and find a lawyer or either that or fold, like you said, like a cheap suit. And that sucks. To me, it's such a waste of time and money, man. Like, it's going to get done regardless. The Switch emulation got so damn good before they started pulling the plug on any of these things. It, there's nothing that can be done now. Genuinely, it's why are you wasting your time on this? Focus on developing games. Put more money into that. Give more money to Game Freak to make better Pokemon games. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, like in this room, I have, I don't know, dozens of devices that could easily emulate Nintendo Switch games. And you know where I play all of my Nintendo Switch games? On my Nintendo Switch, because that's
Thank
the
you.
easiest way to do it. I don't need to, like, I don't pirate the games that I play. I pay for the games that I play because I think that the devs should be paid for their work. If Nintendo is going to make a game and I want to play that game, then I'm going to give them money. Now, you always have people who are like, well, I don't like Nintendo because of these reasons. And so that's the reason that I pirate the games. And okay, sure. That's the reason that you pirate the games. It's not because you just don't want to pay for the games. It's okay if you can't pay for the games, you can't afford it, and that's the reason that you're pirating it. But just be honest with yourself. You're just making up an excuse for why you're pirating their game, why you're stealing from them. And there's going to be somebody that says it's not theft if I'm not taking it away from anybody. I understand that argument. It's a bullshit argument. It's a paper tiger. It doesn't make any sense. I don't steal the games that I play. If there's a game, like it, here's what you should do. If you don't like Nintendo because of the way that they behave, then just don't play their games. Don't pirate their games. Just don't play their games. But emulation and piracy are two different things. And it's okay to emulate games that you've paid money for to play on another device. It's okay to make backup copies of the games that you have purchased. Where Nintendo went over, what was that device that came out where you could pop a Nintendo Switch cartridge in and it would rip the game so that MIG?
The MIG.
MIG Switch or MIG something.
MIG
they
Switch.
changed the name of
Well,
it.
there's like a MIG Switch, and that's the actual cartridge itself. And then there was like a reader that you could use to like rip the games.
Right. And you know what? I mean, you're backing up your games. There shouldn't be anything that says that you can't back up your games. Like if I want to make a copy of a book that I downloaded, I should be able to do that. Should I give that out to a friend? No, I shouldn't do that. I should not steal, but I should be able to control the things that I've paid money for. And that's the thing where I really hate how Nintendo tries to, like, they know that what happens is people are stealing. They're pirating their stuff and they're like, we're going to stop them. This isn't going to stop anything. And it's going to make it harder to preserve the games in the future when inevitably they shut down the Switch servers, which, we've seen the Wii U and 3DS. The Wii U and 3DS servers. I think those got shut down. And now there's games that you could only play digitally on the Wii U. And now you can't get it anymore. Except that I can't remember who it was. Somebody downloaded all of them and uploaded them to like a library or something. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
It was like a YouTuber or something. But that's the kind of thing that drives me crazy about this. Do you have any last thoughts about Nintendo's ninjas and their lawyers doing all this stuff, or do you want to move on?
Just emulation is legal.
That's right. It is. Take that, Nintendo.
It's legal.
It's legal. All right. You know what? We got a bunch of videos that came out, and I want to talk first about Silent Hill Townfall. I actually added this to the show notes because I thought Jimmy was going to be on, and Jimmy is a huge like horror game fan. You said that you like scary games, right?
I like spoopy games, man. I can do some scary games.
Okay. Did you see this trailer yet?
No, actually, I did not. And it's like a full-on gameplay like trailer. So I did. So I was actually very excited because Konami's back, man. Konami is back. They are like Silent Hill is everywhere. We saw the Silent Hill 2 remake. We saw a Silent Hill F that, despite what many people said, I didn't play it personally. I'm actually waiting for a sale, but like, I heard that people they were kind of wishy-washy with like the combat mechanics that were there. Felt very Souls-like with the stamina and everything. That being said, the little tiny bit that I did see here, it looks exciting. Dude, look at that.
That's gross.
Like,
I'm not playing this.
Oh, man.
That's so nasty.
Dude, Silent Hill has always been like, it just makes you achy and gruesome, but it is so good, man.
The graphics are crazy on this.
Oh, dude, they're nuts, man. And so like there's two like horror series that I like really, really love. If you were to consider Resident Evil, that's another one. But it's Dead Space and Silent Hill. Those are like the ones that I really like. I've played a couple of other ones like Outlast and Amnesia, where it's like you kind of don't even have like any way of like fighting back. You just kind of have to like run away. And then when I was streaming a lot, I played Phasmophobia, and that was a lot of fun. Dude, Phasmophobia was so good. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've played it. It's pretty cool.
Okay. All right. So you're familiar with it. But this looks like the whole mechanic with like the radio and everything. That's that right there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's so creepy because you can see it through the wall. Like you can see where this thing is, but you can't see it because it's like in the fog, but you can see it. You know what this reminds me of? When you played Alien Isolation and you would bring up the little detector thing, the little radar thing, so you could see movement, but you didn't know where the alien, the xenomorph was, but you could see that it was moving around you. Like that was super creepy and intense. And that's what they're doing with this. I think this is really cool. No chance I'm going to play this game. It's just too spooky for me. Too spooky for me.
Dude. But you did play Alien Isolation though, right?
Yeah, so, and that is my favorite horror game of all time. I love Alien Isolation. Okay. I feel like if the story is good enough, then I can tolerate the gore. You know what I mean? And the gore in Alien Isolation just wasn't that gory. I mean, yeah, there was the alien was murdering people and there was blood splattering all over the place and stuff, but it wasn't that gory. And then when you see something like Silent Hill and that thing, whatever the hell that monster was that was walking around, and you could like, I don't know, like when I was looking at it, I was like, that's fucking gross. I don't want to be around that. So when I see something and my take on it is that's gross, usually that's when I nope out. It's not for me. And that drives my kids crazy because my kids love horror movies and they'll be like, Dad, we're going to go see this horror movie. Will you come? And I'm like, no, because I don't want to see that grossness. Sorry, kids. You guys have fun. You go to your horror movie. We'll go to a different kind of movie together, like a superhero movie or something like that afterwards. But I'm not going to the horror movie, and I'm not playing Silent Hill Townfall. But when I clicked on the video, I was like, these graphics are crazy good.
Yeah, man. I honestly like it. It's good times. Did you did hear about Alien Isolation 2 though, right?
I did. Jimmy, who's usually on the show, he actually got to play it when he was at Summer Games Fest this year.
Yeah.
And he said he was very excited about it. And I will be playing that one because I love the first one so much.
That's good. If you ever want to like see, speaking of horror, Widow's Bay, we recently watched it. Fantastic show, horror comedy mixed together. Never thought it would be good, but it is. So just little tidbits.
You're not the first person to mention Widow's Bay to me, and I don't know how gross it is, but I'll give it an episode. Just right now, my wife and I are very like, we got so many things that we're watching and got the hiccups and very little time to actually watch them because we've been so busy with moving into this house. So, maybe soon. All right. Yeah. Another game got another 15-minute long gameplay trailer. Black Myth. Not going to try and pronounce this. It's the sequel to Black Myth Wukong. I don't know how to say this, but Got a 15-minute gameplay trailer. Have you had a chance to see this yet?
I have not. The only thing that I was aware of was its announcement, which was that this game was coming, that it was in the works. I did play the Myth Wukong,
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoyed it. I thought that it was a lot of fun. I thought that in some areas it was almost uh, difficult for the sake of being difficult and not actually being challenging. Like to me, I play a lot of Souls games. I played every Dark Souls game. I played Bloodborne. I played Demon Souls, not just the PlayStation 5 version, but the original one on PS3. I loved it so much that I bought copies for my friends in college. I was like, dude, guys, you have to play this game. This is a game that will not handhold you. You will love it. It will be fantastic. And so I'm used to that. And Black Myth Wukong in some areas was like, we're just going to be hard to be hard. And there is no balance to it. So there is no risk to reward. It was just, we're going to beat the shit out of you, essentially. I hope that that the developers here take that to heart and realize that, you know what, maybe we do need to balance the mechanics. It's not necessarily about being difficult, but about rewarding choices that are there. And I think Monster Hunter, we talked about Monster Hunter for like a bit. Monster Hunter is one of those games that when you commit to an action, especially as a greatsword user myself, when you commit to an action, you have to follow through. And if you commit to an action too early or too late, you will get punished and you will learn from that. That didn't happen with Black Myth Wukong for me. Looking at this though, it's pretty, it's beautiful. I can't wait to see more.
Oh, and like honestly, I watched the whole thing yesterday, and it gets better. Like this game looks absolutely bananas. The graphics are just absolutely crazy. The detail that you see when you're playing it, because this is full on gameplay that we're watching. And if I'm gonna fast forward to, yeah, so like we're actually seeing full on gameplay, and it looks unbelievably good. And I love, like, there's a couple of things that I really like when you're like doing your perfect dodge. He doesn't like dodge. He just kind of steps aside like a badass. And I'm like, that's so freaking, yeah, right there. It just happened.
Yeah.
It's so cool when he does it. And like, I was just watching this and I was just like, oh my God, this looks so good. I'm going to be so bad at this. And I'm probably like, if you were talking about how hard the first one was, I never played the first one because I heard it was a really, really hard game. I'm assuming this one's another really, really hard game, and I'm just going to nope out of it. But like, I love that, like that move right there, just then, where he blocks the guy's attack, and then instead of just attacking, he starts pushing him. Like the animations are crazy. They're so well done. I am very, very intrigued by this game.
Oh yeah, man. It's definitely something that like they polished what was already there. And like the first game was beautiful. I hope that this isn't running on like a 5090. I hope that this is can run on like something that is a little bit more attainable.
I think it's probably running on two 5090s. You know what I mean? It's so like the detail is crazy.
No, dude, it's running on an Xbox Series S. We all know it. It's there. Like it's running on it.
On a potato machine. All right. One more video that came out this week that I was very interested in is the official trailer for Golden Axe. Not the game, the show. Okay, now as a child of the 80s, I played so much Golden Axe back in the day. I loved that game. And I didn't know that they were making a show. But I am very excited for this. When I showed this in my Discord, like a private Discord with like the other guys from the show, Carrie said this reminds him of Dungeons and Dragons, the old 1980s cartoon. And I was like, yes, that's absolutely what it reminds me of. And actually, let me make this smaller just in case of copyright stuff. That absolutely makes me think of Dungeons and Dragons. And I mean, I'm not super excited about the dialogue so far that I've heard in it. It's a little too goofy, but it's also a cartoon, so it's supposed to be kind of goofy. but I just hope that this is fun, and it makes me really wish that we knew more about the Golden Axe game that Sega's been working on. Uh, Rudy, are you a Golden Axe fan from back in the day, or sorry, I just got to rewind that real quick. Did you see that? Where she was stomping? Why is this not pausing? Oh, okay. I think my keyboard went to sleep. Where she's just stomping on this thing and like the little potions come out. Like that's the little potion guy that you fight in between fights. And she's stomping on him and having a bunch of potions come out of him. Do you have experience playing Golden Axe when you were young?
Actually, no, man. There are a couple of times that I like played it when I went to like a kind of like a, well, I guess an arcade. Like I was gonna say kind of like Dave and Buster's, but back then I guess it would have been like Chuck E. Cheese. I guess would be the closest thing to it. So we would go into the arcade and we would be able to play. And then there was like a flea market that we used to go to, and they had like a whole like area where I could like play arcade games and stuff. So I did play a couple of them, but it wasn't like I was gonna seek it out to play them, and I didn't play any in the home console version. I think this was this Sega?
Yeah. I played it on Genesis is where I played it.
Yeah, I never had Sega
Too
growing
young.
up. I was a Nintendo kid.
Well, yeah, and you're young. Like what was your
Thanks,
first
man.
console?
NES.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought that your first console was much later than that. I can't remember why. I thought it was a conversation we'd had.
What did you think?
I thought it was N64.
That was the one console that I never owned.
Oh, maybe that's why I'm remember. Like we had a conversation about that at some point, and I just mixed them up. But anyway, are you just based on the 15 or so seconds of footage that you saw? You interested in checking this out, or are you going to pass?
I'll check it out. I mean, it's like, normally what I do is I'll downstairs we have like I'll take like a laptop down to do like my work for my job, and I'll have like a TV or like a show running in the background. So I might just like have that running, and that's typically how like I consume a lot of like the shows that I have out now. But yeah, no, I'll probably give it a go, just like see how it is. I'm more excited about the game than anything else
Same.
that Sega's like working on. But I want to say that the style that's there, it kind of reminds me of like not the style of like the animation, but of like the dialogue. It kind of reminds me of like that whole like Rick and Morty kind of like style of writing, if that makes sense. Like it's
I'm not a Rick and Morty fan.
Okay. So maybe that's not a good thing to tell you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I said a second ago that the dialogue that I didn't really like the writing in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like I was like, nah, it's not really my jam. But I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there that love Rick and Morty. So, good for them.
Yeah. I just see it as like a comedy. Do you think it's going to be more of like a comedy? Like it's going to be jokes left and right with like some seriousness here and there?
I think there's going to be very little seriousness. I think it's going to be all jokes. And that's fine.
Yeah,
it's 100% fine. And if it's funny, then great. And, if they have those little Easter eggs, like they clearly had that Easter egg in there that made me laugh. And I missed the first time that I watched the trailer where she's just stomping on that goblin guy and all of the magic potions are popping out, because that's basically what you did between rounds in that game is you would stomp on a little goblin guy and potions would come out and land on the ground and you could pick them up and use them later to do like awesome attacks. So I think that was really cool.
That's
all right.
Awesome.
Let us know what you think of those videos that we had. Let me scroll up because I forgot now. We had Silent Hill, Golden Axe, Blackmouth sequel. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. And we are going to talk about the games that we've been playing. And Rudy, you just finished playing a game. Dude. What game is that?
Star Wars Outlaws, man. I bought it on a whim for like $10 or $15 for like the Ultimate Edition or whatever. And it's so funny because like when this came out, so I'm a Star Wars fan, and that's a double-sided sword or double-edged sword, excuse me. And but I saw this, and when it first came out, I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is going to be something that has the potential to be cool. So I bought it and I was like, you know what? Like now that it's out and I'm able to get like all of like the expansions and all of like, the story and the lore that's there, I'm gonna give it a go. Screw it. And let me just say, this is a game that is, I would say, a B tier game in terms of like story and like the mechanics that are there. It is Ubisoft, so take that with a grain of salt. But I will say that this is a Star Wars game that made me feel like I was playing Han Solo without actually playing Han Solo. Like
Ooh.
you are breaking into like bases, into like, spaceships. You're dealing with different syndicates that are going on. So if you have the opportunity to double cross every single syndicate that you have a deal with. So like if they're like, oh, you have to go ahead and like capture like this cargo, and the rival syndicate will be like, well, hey, we heard about this. If you give us the information on where this is, we'll double your pay, and like all sorts of like stuff like that throughout like the game. It was just a lot of fun, and like I played the majority of it on the Xbox Ally X and then like on my PC, but it was fun. I feel like the main story could have been done in like 20 hours. And that's including all of like the expansions. I just took my sweet ass time, man, and I like explored. Because you have, I think, four major worlds, and there's a fifth one that's added, or four major like galaxies or systems or whatever. Four major planets and a fifth one that's added with the expansion. A lot of fun. But now that I finished, I'm looking into what to play next, and like Banishers is like one that I like saw and I like checked out, and that is from Don't Nod, if I remember correctly, and yeah, Don't Nod. There we go, Don't Nod and Focus Entertainment, and I just started it. I'm probably like 30 minutes in, to say the least, but it's got ghosts and stuff, and it's back in like the early 1700s. So lore-rich world and all this and that. We'll see if it's any good or not. I don't know. I tend not to like pay too much attention to like reviews, but this one's pretty positive, so I'm willing to check it out. But with everything that's happening with The Witcher 3 and it getting a new expansion, I have been itching. I have been clamoring to replay The Witcher. The only thing is that like The Witcher 3 is a huge freaking time commitment. I don't
Yeah.
know. Have you played? You played it though, yeah?
Well, I've played a little bit of it and I didn't stick with it. Mostly I didn't stick with it because it's a huge time commitment. And that always just makes me
Hmm.
say, I'll play something else that doesn't require nearly as much focus on my part.
Fair, fair. To be honest with you, but The Witcher 3, it's like they have a new expansion that's coming out. My guess is that it is going to be an expansion that will connect The Witcher 3 to The Witcher 4,
Yeah.
which I'm also very excited for. And yeah, I'm kind of like obligated to play this game. My wife's Polish, so I kind of have to. But I love it, man. It's really really good at what it does, and like the modding community has continuously made this game more beautiful, more realistic. It's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, it looks awesome. But
Well, even CD Projekt Red did like the huge update. Maybe it was last year or the year before, where they gave you the ability to like really up the graphics and stuff on this game, right?
Yeah, man. They did all of that when they came out with like there was like a complete edition or something like that that came with like everything, and they literally opened up the game. They're like, "Hey, modding community, by all means, like when you go into like the menu, there's like a mod section that's right there, and you're able to go ahead and just put in whatever mods you want and get it working and running." So it's very very user friendly, very mod friendly, and I love that game, man. I that was like one of the biggest games that I played during the PlayStation 4 generation, from beginning to end. All of the DLC, all of the expansions. I did all of the side quests that were there, like literally everything, dude. It was one of the first games. Well, I wouldn't say one of the first games because I also played like Dark Souls and Monster Hunter and all that, and that takes like hundreds of hours of my time. But this one was like really good.
Yeah, I don't see that. Here's the thing. When I play Monster Hunter, that's a huge time sink. But
Mhm.
when I play that game, there's no story that I care about. So when I'm playing, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to play this game for 20 minutes and then I'm done. When there's a story attached to a game, that I actually give a shit about, I don't want to invest that same amount of time because I'm always like, well, I'm only going to get like halfway through the story and then something's going to happen and I'll have to stop playing and I won't be able to get back to it and I won't remember what happens and then I'll have to start over. But because a game like Monster Hunter, which literally I have 300 hours in Monster Hunter, not Wilds. What was the one before that? Rise. I got like 300 hours in Monster Hunter Rise. Well, I could have played The Witcher. You know,
I could have. The Witcher, yeah.
But again, because there's no story, I feel like I could just jump in and jump out whenever I want, and I don't have to retain any information other than how do I fight this monster and what's the good place to go kite him to or that kind of thing. So I don't know. Witcher 3 for me, I mean, I own it and I've played it, but it never grabbed me. And everybody that I've talked to about this has said, well, because you didn't give it enough time. If you gave it enough time, you would get sucked in. You wouldn't be able to stop playing. And I understand that.
Agreed.
But time is something that is not on my side based on the grayness of my beard. You know, it's like I don't have all that much time. So I got things to do. I'll talk a little bit about the games I've been playing too. Last week on the show, I mentioned that I had picked up a game called Zexion. And Rich said, well, Bill, you're going to have very strong feelings about this game. And the reason you're going to have strong feelings about this game is because this game is very, very difficult. And as I was playing through, I was like, shit, he's right. This game is a very, very hard game. But in the settings, you have the ability to change so many things to dial in the difficulty so it's not a super hard game. You can change how much damage you take from enemies. You can change how much ammo, like how you get your ammo back. You can set it so that when you run out of ammo, you have to go find ammo, or when you run out of ammo, it just starts to replenish after a little bit of time. There's there's like 2 or 3 different sliders that gives you the ability to dial in the difficulty to play it the way that you want to play it. That said, I have been slamming my head against the desk trying to beat certain bosses because they're so fast and they're really hard to beat. But I am enjoying Zexion, and it's got right now it's sitting at very positive on Steam. I definitely recommend it if you are somebody who likes a Metroidvania. But let me actually rewind this scene just there for the video watchers. Like, controlling your character like that looks a little crazy, and I'm not there yet, but maybe after I've played it for a little bit, I'll be able to do that. I'm not sure. Have you seen this at all, Rudy?
No, dude. But I see this and I immediately get like Metroid vibes immediately. But I also, oh my God, what is the name of this game? This is gonna kill me. Nope, I can't even think of like the name of the game. It came out forever ago, and they like came out with like another thing. But don't even worry about it. This gives you Metroid vibes, 100%. Have you played the original Metroid?
Yes, it's a great game.
Yeah, this definitely gives me Metroid vibes, 100%.
Go ahead.
No, go for it.
Okay. Another game that I've been playing, well, it's not a game, it's a demo. I've been playing Hellforged, which is really, really cool, actually. It's one of these bullet heaven games, kind of like Vampire Survivors. But you have like a randomly generated world, and it's got like roguelike elements to it. But you also have like this loot idea behind it, where when you are fighting enemies, they'll drop loot. You can pick up that loot. You can use that loot to replace gear that you already have. And then when the timer's up, the portal opens and you can leave and go back to your town. And then you can use the stuff in your town in order to level up your character, level up the gear that you're wearing, and then you go back in for another run. If you die, you lose the gear that you had, as far as I know. I'm still in the demo, so I haven't picked it up yet. But it's actually really, really good. Like, if you like these Battle Heaven games, like I freaking love these Battle Heaven games, I think that you're going to have a really good time with this. I like the graphics. I like pretty much everything about it. The You get a currency as you're playing that unlocks like different characters throughout your town. And so you can be like, oh, okay, well, now I've got a blacksmith and I can use the blacksmith to salvage gear that I have. And then I can use the stuff that I get from salvaging that gear to upgrade the other gear that I have. And any kind of loot based gameplay loop always gets me. Like, that's one of the reasons that I like Monster Hunter so much, is because of the loot based gameplay. And I'm just having a blast with this. And I don't think that the game is out yet. No, it's not. It's available in 2026. We don't know when, but there's a demo, and the demo is really good. And I've played, I don't know. Yeah, I've played at least an hour of the demo, and I'm having a blast with it. Do you like bullet heaven games, Rudy?
I mean, I'll give them a go. Like, technically, Undertale and Deltarune are bullet hell games, but like, but yeah, I'll give it a go. I'm not. It's one of those genres where like I'll definitely try them out. I think it was called The Ascent. Would that be considered, or was
No.
that more of like a third story? That was
So you're
isometric.
so you're not thinking of a bullet heaven game. So have you played Vampire Survivors?
Yeah. So like that.
That's a bullet heaven game where it's not bullet hell, it's bullet heaven, because you are the thing that is putting out all of this stuff on the screen and the hordes are coming after you, but you're wiping them out with all of the ridiculous amounts of projectiles that you're putting around on the screen. Like, that's bullet heaven.
Gotcha.
Oh God, I can't think. Somebody in the comments is going to remind. Yes, thank you, Megabonk. Megabonk is a very good example of a bullet heaven game, and
That's
this
like
is another
the first
one of
one
those.
that I was like, oh yeah. No, I mean, I've only played like a couple of them. That's one that a genre that I have not dived deep into. By the way, for Zexion, I remembered what it was that I wanted to go ahead and say. It reminded me of Cave Story. Did you ever play Cave Story?
Oh yeah, with the hat, the kid with the red hat.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of gave me that vibe. Obviously, there's way more stuff happening on screen, but yes, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Cave Story.
Very cool. One more game that I've been playing, and that is Retrospace. Again, this is just the demo, so if you want to check this out, it's available for you to check out. I would say this reminds me very much of BioShock so far. I will say it's a little too dark. Like, I have yet to find a flashlight, and there's been times where I'm wandering around in the dark and I cannot see where the hell I'm going. Like, I can't figure out where I'm supposed to go because everything is just pitch black. And like, I went into the controls and it said press whatever for flashlight, and I did, and the flashlight didn't turn on. So I assume that I have to find a flashlight, and I have yet to find a flashlight. But the game is really, really dark. It's got a weird story, and I'm super early in, but I definitely there's something there that is interesting to me, and I'm going to keep trying it out and playing some more. I've been playing for, I don't know, it doesn't say on my screen how much I've played it for. Oh, that's because this is the actual game, not the demo. Oh wait, can I go to the demo? I can't. Anyway, it's cool. Have you played many immersive simulator kind of games like this, where you're like a first person space horror game?
I mean, as in like, because this is, I'm watching the trailer right now, and it kind of seems like it's very, I guess, BioShock. You said BioShock, and I feel like that
BioShock is what I think. So it makes me think of.
Yeah, it definitely gives me like the BioShock vibe. I mean, I have played, but like BioShock 1, BioShock 2, Infinite. I did play a little bit of, oh my God, what was the game? that they like. I did play a lot of. My God, I am totally spacing out. I see the freaking like logo in it. I'm gonna have to like go into like my library. I think it's Deathloop. I played a little bit of Deathloop, um, and that's kind of like weird in terms of like the powers that you have. Um, but I don't know, man. Like that's something that I've never actually like, especially like the horror aspect that's there, because this seems like there's like some horror, right?
Yeah. There's so when you die, you get cloned, right? And your clone will have randomized defects. And one of the things that happened to me is my clone had schizophrenia. And so every once in a while, my character would just start hallucinating things in the room. Like it would pop up on screen for a second, like somebody's face. Like, you ever watch one of those videos back when the internet was like first, when people first started having the internet in their houses, and they would have like this video where you're looking at the screen and you're looking for a difference or something, and then it cuts to like a face in your face screaming or whatever. You know what the videos that I'm talking about?
Oh
So
yeah,
it's like kind of
100%.
like that, where like a face just jumps up on screen in front of you for a second because your character has schizophrenia. And then the next time I died, I ended up coming back as a character who's like swearing all the time. Like he's just rude. And that's one of the it's weird. This is a weird game, but I'm definitely interested in it. And I want to see where this goes, because it's definitely an interesting. I love BioShock, and this is giving me those BioShock vibes. And it's coming to Steam and PlayStation and Nintendo Switch 2 and Xbox, so you're going to be able to play it wherever. But it's called Retrospace, and it's really, really interesting. Comes out in October.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right. Well, we've been going for almost 2 hours, so I think it's about time that we wrap up the show. Rudy, I know that you said you've been on a hiatus. You haven't been creating content because you've been too busy, but, you got anything coming out soon?
Yeah, man. I got some AR glasses that I gotta review that are literally sitting right here. I've had this for I hate to say this, but I've had this for about 3 months, and I need to like knock this out. But after that, I'm already like starting to like script out the Steam Machine review, because I finally got it. I don't know if you knew this, dude, but like I had one. I was fortunate enough to like get into like the initial pool or whatever to buy them, but I was in Europe when my 72-hour window to buy was, and I told them, I was like, okay, so do I buy it here to go to where I'm at now, or do I send it to my house? Like, how does this work? Because like my sister could like come and she lives relatively close by, so she could stop by, but I don't trust it with like porch pirates. So
Yeah.
Steam was like, or Valve was like, yeah, sure, of course. What you'll do is you cannot buy it in the European store. You have to buy it in the US store, and you have to ship it to the US location. You cannot ship it to the European location. And I was like, okay, all right, that makes sense. Tell me, what to do. And they're like, okay, now you can go ahead and buy it. Well, I go to purchase it, and it's kind of my fault because I was in London meeting up for some people for work, and then I had to go back to Germany, and I tried to initiate my initial purchase in London, and that got flagged. So I was like, okay, all right, not a big deal. I'll wait until I go back. And I went to my in-laws, and they were like, I tried to process it again within the same 24-hour period. Couldn't get to happen. I'm literally boarding onto a plane, and I'm trying to refresh the Steam store, and it keeps on saying unexpected error, unexpected error. I'm just like, what the heck? So I go and I message Valve, and I'm like, hey, like, this is what's going on. How am I, like, I want to buy this. The funds are here. It's sitting here in my credit card. Like, it's obviously being like processed. And they're like, huh, that's weird. Let's look into it. But first, we have to make sure you are who you are. And I was like, okay, like I can give you any form of identification, like whatever you need, passport, driver's license, whatever. So they go ahead and they ask for my driver's license, and they didn't ask for my passport, but then they asked for the numbers of a credit card that I used to purchase a game 11 years ago.
Oh God,
Dude,
that's terrible.
11, 11 years ago. And I'm like, what? Like, I obviously don't have it on me because it's obviously expired. So I did find the number in my email. And I was fortunate that it was there. So I was like, well, maybe this is it. So let me try it out because I only have 4 numbers. Thankfully, it worked. And then I was like, all right, awesome. Now I want to go ahead and buy this. And they're like, no, we need to continue further. Like we have to further all of this even like more and like prove even more that you are who you are. So like I had to provide credit card numbers for not only 2015, 2017, 2019, 2021, and 2023. And listen, power to them for like making sure that I am who I am and that if somebody tries to break into my account, they're going to have to provide all of this information in order to actually, gain access to my account because I couldn't buy anything, dude. Even if it was a game, I couldn't buy it. They locked me out entirely. If I wanted to download games that I already owned, I had access to that, but I could not purchase anything new. So it was definitely a little bit of a hassle, but once, everything was squared away, I was finally able to get another 72-hour window to buy the Steam machine that I missed out on the first time around. And they said, hey, like, even though all of this happened, it's going to take some time to get there, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. So it took around 3.5 weeks for it to finally arrive. And once that's there, I got the 512 gigabyte model with a Steam controller, which my kid was happy because he saw a Steam controller and he was like, "Oh my god, this is so cool! I absolutely love it." And the Steam machine with 512 gigabytes is not enough memory. That filled up so fast. I need to do a swap out for the memory, but yeah, that's my story for the Steam machine. It was insane, dude. Absolutely insane. I cannot wait to put that into video.
Yeah. So, for mine, I was in the middle of my move. Now, luckily, very luckily for me, we bought this house from people we knew.
Good.
Like they were friends of mine. And so I sent a text message to our group message between my wife and me and the couple that we bought it from. And I said, hey, I get a lot of packages delivered. And I want to make sure that none of the packages end up at the old house when I move. Is it okay if I change my address now? And then when packages arrive, you guys could just throw them in the garage. And they're like, yep. I was like, awesome. So then I got the email that said, hey, you can buy it now. Because I signed up and I was like, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to buy it. It's too expensive because it is too expensive.
Agreed.
And I was looking at it and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to buy it. I don't think I am. And then I was talking to my wife and she goes, are you going to use it? And I say, yeah, because like I have my good PC is going to be out in the studio, but I don't want to always come out to the studio to play a video game. So I would like to have something in the living room to play a game on. And she says, well, I mean, just get it then, because if you're going to use it, then it's a win. And I said, okay. So I bought it, and I got the same one as you, the 512 with a controller. And I was really happy that that's the one that I got because I wanted a second controller so that I could have the same controller in both locations, so I could always have the same experience because I really, really like the Steam controller. And I've been having an absolute blast with the Steam machine. I usually kick things down to 1080p or 1440p. I never play anything at 4K unless it's like a pixely game that's going to run like a dream on anything anyway. But I've been having an absolute blast on it. And it's a really, really good machine that just came out at the worst possible time.
110%, man.
Yeah.
I love mine. I think it's fantastic. It's just the price is the worst thing about it. And if I think they said that it was going to be around like 750, right?
Yeah, that was the price. Well, They didn't say that specifically, but they said if you do the math to what they said, it came out to be about $750 was the price that they were aiming at.
If it was $750, would you have been happy?
Oh God, yeah. I would have been doing cartwheels. If it was $750, like no one would be talking about the price. The price is so much higher than it should be. But the thing that everybody seems to not understand, and I've talked about this many times, so the people who are watching this that watch my channel on the regular, they already know this. Everything is expensive. Everything is expensive. It's not just the Steam machine. It's just that the Steam machine is the new thing. And so when that's when you care about the price is when this new thing comes out. But everything is really expensive now because of RAM. But everybody seems to tack that this is expensive onto the Steam machine and they don't tack it onto anything else. And I don't think that's fair.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, anyway, tell people where they can find your channel and your stuff that you're making.
Yeah, sure, man. So it is at Baldly Rudy. So BALDLY Rudy. Bald for obvious reasons. And everywhere, literally everywhere. Twitter, X, whatever it's called, YouTube, TikTok, IG, Facebook, anywhere. And that's where you'll find me.
Awesome. If you guys click on the subscribe button down below, it'll also take you to his channel, not just my channel. So you can click on it and then you can subscribe to my channel, but you can also subscribe to him just from that button. So you don't have to worry about trying to type it in and getting it right. But Rudy, it was awesome to sit down and talk to you for a couple hours. It's been way too long. We got to make sure that we get you on the show more often than we have. And that's on me. So thanks for joining me. And everybody make sure that you subscribe to his channel. And hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Stay rad, everybody. Bye-bye.